Of all the world's health challenges, sugar overconsumption is the most daunting. It causes heart disease, cancer, and above all, obesity and diabetes, two major risk factors for COVID-19. Sugar manufacturing is also bad for our little blue planet. And yet there's still no healthy way to meet our craving for sweetness. Amai Proteins has developed the first healthy sugar substitute that tastes just like sugar and is fit for the mass food market. With a team of experts, including the former food CTO of SodaStream and 5 PhDs, Dr. Ilan Samish has redesigned sweet proteins found in the jungle by applying agile, integrative, computational protein design and precision fermentation, a sustainable manufacturing process similar to brewing beer. The result is a protein that tastes like sugar, but at a fraction of its cost. Beyond sweeteners, Amai is revolutionizing our food system, expanding to dairy, meat, and veggie proteins, enhancing the quality, health, price, and sustainability. Thousands of people have already enjoyed Amai's tasty sweeteners. Coming soon to a store near you.
So we are now joined by the founder and CEO of Amai Proteins, Ilan Samish. Ilan, welcome.
Thank you.
So we've previously spoken about how Amai is looking to cure the problem that we have with our food as a society. We'll get to the solutions in a moment, but can you talk to us a little bit about the problems with our food, what impact that has on us as a society, and what led you to combat these specific problems?
Very good question. So thank you, and above all, thanks AIPAC for organizing this. As someone who lived as a kid, adolescent, and adult in the US, I highly value the amazing work that you did. And actually, some of our investors are also bringing in some of the AIPAC supporters through their platform to invest in us, such as Zora, that is one of our impact investors, investing in the best impact companies in Israel. So sugar overconsumption is today the problem of the world. There is no bigger problem as to our health, quality of life, but sugar, to the point where Credit Suisse said that without sugar tax, our world health system will simply collapse. But sugar is much more than that because it affects a lower socioeconomic class, causing a lot of inequality and also a huge pollution of land, sea, and water. It's a main thing underlying obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and so much more. And all the solutions right now simply don't cure the problem because they don't taste good, or they are too costly, or they are not healthy, or they are simply not fit for the products. There is no good solution for over 30% sugar reduction, and we decided to do something about that.
That's fantastic. So we've discussed the problems, you've laid out the problems, but now let's walk through the solutions. How are you and Amai Proteins making our food specifically healthier?
So Amai is about fixing our food system one protein at a time. And we do so by combining two very innovative technologies. One is computational protein design. And I actually opened Amai after putting out what is today the main book in the field of computational protein design, where we say something very simple. Most of the proteins live in their own little piece of heaven, while food for a protein is a hell of an environment. So let's learn from proteins which do live in hell, and you have life in hell, in the Dead Sea, in hot springs, deep in the ocean, in acidic swamps, and take the characteristics of these proteins and redesign proteins which live in the paradise of the jungle, such as sweet proteins, and make a new protein, such as this protein, which is similar to sweet proteins found in nature, is 100% protein, but is fit for the food market as to taste, stability, cost, and it's very healthy. Then comes a second part, and that is production by sustainable and environmentally friendly fermentation. Fermentation is the oldest technology, whether it's beer, yogurt, or wine. We do precision fermentation, where we have another step of harvesting. At the end of the day, we have a white powder which we harvest from the fermenter. We let the yeast produce a product by fermentation, and then we have a pure protein which is 10,000 times sweeter than sugar and is our product. So we can make things such as cranberry juice, such as yogurts, such as ketchup. And just last week, Tom Hayes, the CEO of Ocean Spray, put out a press release about our cranberry juice and other products we are doing with Ocean Spray, where we can have above 40% sugar reduction without people noticing that it's not 100% sugar, because the diet market is a small market. It's not tasty. We don't like it. And some of the components are even not healthy.
So that's very cool, this partnership with Ocean Spray. I'm curious to know, first of all, Mazal Tov on such exciting news. Spray is huge. Can you tell us a little bit about the partnership that came about between you and Ocean Spray, and should we be looking for future partnerships between Amai and other manufacturers?
Definitely. So we have a bunch of different collaborations. Actually, I came from the Weizmann Institute and I had the option to work with them on the company, but I thought that I need to fill the gaps. And the main gap is to go to the industry. So I went to the Kitchen Hub Incubator, which is owned by Strauss and subsidized by the Israeli Innovation Authority. And their main partners is our PepsiCo and Danone. Together, we have agreements and we got a couple of millions of EU funding where we work together on bringing a better product to the market. There is a long cycle till the big multinationals bring a product to the market. So we are already in initial steps doing this. And we are also getting a lot of feedback and input on what is important for them as to manufacturing, as to, for example, doing not sugar elimination, but sugar reduction. We are not competing with the diet market. We are competing with the sugar market because we want products to taste exactly like sugar. And for that, we work with a bunch of partners. I laid out just some of them.
So if anyone has any other questions for Ilan, feel free to send them over to us at venturetech@aipac.org, and we'll hope to get to your questions. I'm curious to know a little bit more about how, we spoke about how Amai is partnering with different food manufacturers and you're utilizing the proteins within products like Ocean Spray, but can Amai be a standalone sugar substitute that consumers can purchase individually?
So today, 47% of the added sugar goes to beverages. We, as a first go-to market, don't plan to sell the product as is, but to incorporate it into blends with other products so it will taste the best. You have to realize it is a protein. It is now undergoing scale-up and regulatory approvals. It's planned to be in the market by the end of 2022. So we still have a way to go with the production in yeast. But definitely tabletop is on our to-do list. I think that first, if we can go to the big markets of beverages, of yogurts, of many other products where you need a sweetening solutions, which are the worst enemies of today's health, it will be much better than to go to the very complicated market of selling it as is to the consumers. We will sell it to mainly B2B, but this is something we are now working on as part of our next steps to go to the market.
You talked about this earlier in our call about how sugar lends to a major socioeconomic problem within our country, the United States specifically, but also just globally in general. I'd be curious to know if there's any major cost difference between Amai Proteins and sugar itself, the traditional sugar, and if it's accessible to those who are of like a lower socioeconomic background.
So the answer is very simple. It's a big, big yes. To make a kilogram or a pound of a protein is, of course, much more expensive than a pound of sugar. But a pound of our protein replaces 10 pounds of sugar, 10 tons of sugar, or 5 tons, sorry, 5 tons of sugar. So because of that, and because we produce it by fermentation, we are significantly cheaper than sugar in sweetness units. And the final price for the product will still stay cheaper than sugar.
So our last audience question for you is, how is this different from different sugar substitutes on the market? And what makes Amai different?
All sugar substitutes are small molecules. The American Heart Association wrote on all of the high-intensity sweeteners, whether they are aspartame, sucralose, stevia, monk fruit, sulfam K, you name it. They wrote, and I'm quoting, there is a dearth of evidence on their adverse health effects because they interact with our microbiome, making us fat and giving a pre-diabetic response despite being 0 calories. They interact with our kidneys, with our liver, and with sweet taste receptors that line our gut. In our case, we are a protein. So we activate the sweet receptor in our oral cavity just like any other sweetener, but then just like any other protein, we are digested in the upper gastrointestinal tract, and consequently, all that the body sees is amino acids, which are good for you. So this is the first time we have a truly healthy sweetener, which also tastes just like sugar.
And my last question is Amai kosher?
That's a very good question. My kids are from, and I will make sure that it is kosher. Yeast is kosher, and we will work not only to be kosher, but to be mehadrin kosher. We will get the best certificate, so my kids will be able to enjoy it. There is no reason why not, and it's high on my personal agenda.
That's great to know. Thank you so much, Ilan. Thank you for representing Amai and for making us and our foods a lot healthier.